Hello and welcome to Current Issues with me, Tarun. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address to the US Congress touched all the right notes, be it combating terrorism, be it investment or bilateral investment in both nations, be it the logistics issue. So PM Modi actually did a roundup of all the issues that concerned even America and India. After touching all the right notes, let us discuss today with both the BJP and the Congress on how Narendra Modi scored with India's relationship with the United States of America. Joining me today are Sudesh Verma. He is spokesperson for the Bharatiya Janata Party, and shortly joining me would be Muhammad Khan. He is spokesperson of the Congress Party. Let me first go across to Sudesh, who will speak on behalf of the BJP. Sudesh, if you would see, the address to the US Congress made by Prime Minister Modi touched all the right notes. What do you have to say? Because the second visit of our Prime Minister to America, just before Obama's presidency is set to get over, has also been regarded as a special gesture. How do you look at this?
You see, this was a landmark visit in the sense that it tried to consolidate all the visits that Modi ji had to the US and US President Barack Obama had to India. And before Barack Obama actually demits office, this was the time to consolidate on the gains. And you will see that India has actually gained a lot. And the best is, if you see the MTCR, India has been trying to get into MTCR, but for one reason or other, it was not able to. So now India is a part of that, and very soon we will be a member of NSG. And these are very substantial gains, Only those who are concerned with what these issues are would be able to understand the gains which we have achieved. And also, so many agreements have been signed for defense cooperation. There is a strategic agreement through which one can use each other's port facilities and defense establishment. So it is landmark, and IndoUS relations, you see, particularly the address of Mr. Modi to the US Congress was something which was very, very inspiring, and the way he got a standing ovation not once but many times, so the entire America, because that was the representation of America. Entire America was one in sync with India's feelings, and this is the time now to forget bitterness of the past, if at all that was there, and to build on that and to capitalize and to make IndoUS relation a new hell.
So, Mohammed, you also agree that a very successful visit by the Indian Prime Minister?
Well, the Congress Party has always been very clear in the sense that we always support our Prime Minister when he is abroad. We stand behind him as a nation, and we are proud of the accomplishments of the Prime Minister's speech as well. However, there are a couple of things that we point out. One, I do not share the optimism of the learned spokesperson of the BJP. He is correct that these are landmark. This is a landmark step forward. Entry into the energy, TCR.
Sudesh Verma, we'll go across to Sudesh Verma in absence of there's some phone line issues with the Congress spokesperson. Sudesh, if you could tell me, will the entry to the nuclear suppliers group be easier said than done?
Yeah, of course. You see, the only hitch appears to be China, because China says that India should become a member of NPT first.
Yes.
But India has been saying that NPT is discriminatory, it cannot sign it. But if India becomes, despite not signing, it won't be an exception, because France earlier also did not sign NPT but still became member of NSG.
Yes.
So there have been exceptions. So China is trying to score maybe a brownie point, because it wants Pakistan also to be in. But we are sure that the kind of pressure which is there in the entire world to make India a member of NSG, because India has been a responsible nuclear power. There is no evidence of proliferation ever. So India's contribution has been recognized. So only if it becomes formally a member of NSG, that is just going to convert that informal status into formal.
But the kind of what you can say, the kind of weight that China brings to global decisions today, specifically with regards to America, don't you think that despite all the best efforts, it's easier said than done? Or are you very optimistic that in Narendra Modi's term, India's membership to the NSG is a reality?
You see, there is no hostility between India and China per se, because you see, we have tried to build our economic relations with China. You have seen that when the Chinese president came to India, there was a huge bonhomie between our Prime Minister and Chinese president. There is no reason to believe that this should not translate. Maybe there are some irritants that would be resolved. We are sure that the kind of blood pressure that is there,
I would like to
China
point
would
out,
also understand that this should not.
Sudesh, I would like to point out the bonhomie was seen, but at the very same time there were incursions from the other side in Daulat Beg Oldi and some other posts. Don't you think so that the doublespeak of China is on the one side it tries to show its might, and the other side its premier is talking and walking with our Prime Minister. So do you think that the doublespeak of China needs to be taken very seriously? It shouldn't be that irrational optimism and irrational exuberance takes over, and then we suffer the same things that we have suffered in the past couple of decades, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. You see, while we are optimistic, it's not that we have closed our eyes to the existing realities.
Yes.
Existing realities of South China Sea, we understand that.
Yes.
But at the same time, you see, the situation has come in the world. India has become MTCR's member, and India is already having civil nuclear cooperation with the US and other countries, which means that becoming a part of NSG will be only formalizing that status. It's not that India is not gaining what it should if it becomes member of NSG.
Okay,
only
point taken, Sudesh.
To trade in nuclear.
Point taken. Let me go across to Mohammed. Mohammed, if you could tell me, India and China have their differences on the South China Sea issue.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. India and China have differences on the South China Sea. Even America has them. But the question today is different. India emerging as a defense ally of the United States of America and the largest purchaser, will it have impact on India's relations with both China as well as Russia? Because we have a Russia-China axis emerging, a Russia-Pakistan-China axis also emerging, and as we grow closer to the United States of America, do you think that we need to balance Russia and China?
As is the nature of any superpower, I understand your question. As is our relationship with any superpower in the world, the fact is that India is emerging as a superpower, undoubtedly, based on the efforts of this government and the governments that have come before it. But I don't think it will affect our relationship with China. China will always be skeptical of us to some extent, and will always be skeptical of China. History has borne witness to what has happened when we put too much faith in China. So I think there's always a certain degree of restraint that is brought to our attention with these people. I think we always support, as I said earlier, I don't know if you heard me, the Congress always supports our Prime Minister in his ventures with other countries. We stand by our Prime Minister, and we believe he's made a lot of headway on objectives, the foundation of which was laid by the Congress Party and the UPA government in the past. I think you're right, South China Sea will be a source of contention. The role that India will play remains to be seen. I don't think you will see a very black and white role at the outset. Maybe India will play a role as an arbitrator, because India has a very nuanced presence in the subcontinent, and therefore let us see the role that emerges for India. I don't think it will be a black and white role where we take one side over the other.
Sudesh, I have two questions for you. India as the largest democracy and America as the oldest are seen to be natural allies. Now we are extending cooperation to many other areas, but from the non-aligned times, India is perceived close to Russia. Do you think our closeness to the United States of America, which is natural because both are democracies, do you think that this will actually change the power equations in our relations with China, Pakistan and Russia?
Yeah, you see, actually you hit the nail, because you see, we have shared values, common ideology, and that ideology is democracy.
Yes.
Two largest democracies of the world.
Coming together,
US,
yes.
the largest economy of the world, and India is the 7th largest economy of the world. And with the kind of growth we are receiving, very soon we would be the 3rd or 4th largest economy in the world. So there's a lot of room for cooperation. And perhaps because of the Cold War situation, we could not capitalize, we could not build a relationship with US that should have been there. But lost opportunities, all right, but now it is time to build, and we have struck the right note entire, there is a bonhomie between people which was always there, but the establishment somehow could not see eye to eye because of various situations.
So you
like
agree that India can balance its relationship with both Russia and America and still thrive well and have good relations with all the countries. India has that capability. You believe that?
You see, the time of Cold War is over. Every country is trying to act as per its national interests. Every country is thinking about economic growth. Even with China-India relations is based on economic perspective. Economy has taken over. The era of conventional war is over actually, because India is a nuclear power and nobody can think of waging a war against India when India is a nuclear power. So is with other countries. So these are the existential realities, geostrategic realities, and we must understand that India cannot afford to alienate any of its old friends and allies, because we have seen through rough weather, we still have good equations with them, but it doesn't come, Indo-US relation doesn't come at the cost of Indo-Russian relations or Indo-Chinese relations. These are all strategic needs. There needs to be balance of power, and economy is the biggest balancer.
Okay, point taken. Mohammed, if you could tell me, Prime Minister also touched all the right notes on the Indo-US nuclear deal. You must be very happy that something that you started, the government has not even taken ahead, but also achieved great closeness with America on even the nuclear issue, where PM spoke on the deal.
Yes, you're absolutely right, actually, and I think that's a very astute observation. This progress that has taken place over the last couple of years is built on a foundation laid by the UPA government. So we are very proud of our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, for taking this forward and for acknowledging that this was indeed a step based in foresight. Ironically, they opposed it at the time, if you recall, but I'm glad to see that their actions now speak louder than their words at the time. The other question you must ask is about climate change, Mr. Anchor. The issue is, what have we committed to on climate change? This is all well and good. Yeah. I don't think you'll find too many people who disagree over what we should do on, Tarun, Tarun, I don't think you'll find many people who disagree with you on India's progress in the nuclear side. But when it comes to the climate change agreements, what are we committing to? What is it that India promises to do? What is it that clarity has been achieved on? That, I think, that is something that the Congress party has been demanding over the last 24 hours, more clarity on. So I think we would ask the BJP spokesperson to help us figure out what is it that we have committed to on the international stage, and how is it different from what we committed to at Paris and Copenhagen earlier.
See, be it Paris or Copenhagen, India always stood for common but differentiated responsibility. Sudesh, would you agree when I say that India stands by with common and differentiated responsibility? Because even per capita today, fossil fuels such as coal or even other power sources, even today in absolute terms, United States of America uses more coal than India. So Sudesh, India actually has to play an assertive role that India has a right to common but differentiated responsibility.
The whole world actually has recognized, Tarun, what our Prime Minister is talking about on climate change. And we see, when the entire world was thinking about climate change, Narendra Modi, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he had actually written a book on climate change, and he understands climate change and how you can reduce carbon emission. So that is why when he speaks, the whole world tries to listen, because India is considered one of the polluters, but at the same time, if India has to reduce its carbon emission, then the technology transfer must be there. And when we talk of nuclear power, we are not talking in terms of aggressive nuclear power, we are talking of peaceful nuclear power for energy, for medicine, for advancement in research. You see, it's heartening to know that during this visit, Nuclear Power Corporation of India and Westinghouse Electric Company,
Sudesh,
they have signed
I have a caller.
6 nuclear power plant. And
Rajan from Kochi wants to come in at this moment and ask a question. Rajan, what question do you have to ask?
I just wanted to ask that, our honorable Prime Minister is going, visited every now and then to the America and other countries. Do you think that, it is beneficial for India?
Okay, I will not answer this. I'll have my panelists answer this question for you. Sudesh, a very simple question. I think you would answer it best, that I'll get Mohammed a chance to answer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Tarun, you see, if you just see the visits of Mr. Narendra Modi in the first year, when he has been in office. He had 23 visits. If you compare it with Dr. Manmohan Singh's first year, in the first tenure, which happened in 2004, there were 30 visits.
Okay.
And in the second tenure of first year, there were 29 visits. And you see, but nobody actually came to know about Dr. Manmohan Singh's visit. Everybody is talking about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit, because this has been the biggest mandate ever in the last 30 years. The most stable government, and India is poised to take a giant leap, and that is why the entire world is looking at India. So that is why don't think that Narendra Modi is doing something which earlier government didn't try, but maybe because of the huge response he has got domestically, entire world is listening to him, and he has never taken credit. He has always said that whatever recognition he is getting is recognition for 125 crore people of this country.
Okay, point taken, point taken. Mohammed, would you like to come in on this?
Yeah, can I say something?
Yes, Mohammed, go ahead.
Yeah, when Prime Minister Modi travels for the benefit of the country and for the advancement, when he travels for the advancement of the country's interests, then we stand by him. However, when he travels for the advancement of his own personal interests, such as he did when he went to Madison Square Garden to further his own cause of celebrity, then we indeed ask questions as to why that is necessary. The other thing that we are upset about, and we have raised again and again in the press, is that why does the Prime Minister feel the need to badmouth the opposition when he is abroad? This country has always had a very proud tradition that we stand with our leaders regardless of the party they belong to when they are abroad, when they are representing India on the international stage, and we are doing so today as well. But we hope that for a Prime Minister who aspires to be a statesman, that he would display a certain degree of the same restraint when he is abroad. It doesn't become a Prime Minister who wants his name to be included in the legacy of great Indian history to say things of this sort. That is something that I think needs some fine tuning on their part, and I think there are many leaders in the BJP who will agree with this.
Okay, Sudesh, you want to rebut? Sudesh, do you want to rebut, or should I move to my next question?
What Mr. Khan is talking about. I'm giving my rebuttal. You see, I don't understand what Mr. Khan is saying. Whenever Mr. Modi has spoken abroad, he has always spoken on behalf of 125 crore of people. There never has been a case where he has tried to forward his personal agenda. There is none actually. Nobody can say that Mr. Modi has a personal agenda, whether it is Madison Square or whether it is any other public place where lots of people come to see him. This is all built into bilateral relations. Why is India valued? Indian community is such a powerful community. If they sow their might abroad, people understand that yes, they have something to contribute. When you are in a position to contribute to the home economy, then people understand and respect you. And that is what has happened. Talk to any NRI and they will tell you the difference between what was the situation when Dr. Manmohan Singh or the Congress-led UP was in power, and now that Mr. Narendra Modi-led India is in power. You will come to know if you talk to any
we got
NRI.
A caller from Gujarat. Harsh from Gujarat wants to come in at this moment. Harsh, what question do you have to ask?
Yes, sir. My question is that, can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, my question is that.
Go ahead, Harsh.
Yes, sir. The question is that we have seen from last decade, our area of interest was in Russia. Now, from last 2 years, when Mr. Modi has came in power, and after that, we are our area of interest shifted towards America. So, on what negotiation and on what kind of basis they have approvals or for NSG member? So, it is a point of discussion for that उन्होंने हमें किस आधार पर ऐसा permission दे दिया है.
Okay, point taken, Harsh. We put this question. We've got another caller. Yes, can you introduce you and ask the question? Ujjwal. Ujjwal is his name. Ujjwal, what is the question you want to ask?
Yeah, my question is, as far as we see our country from last 10 years or so, Modi has been our Honorable Prime Minister from last 2 years only. Now, my question is that approximately 75% of the defense initiative which are being showcased right now, I guess they were started way back during the UPA regime. How can BJP or Mr. Modi can take credit for everything which is being done from past so many years, and now since they are being launched, how can this be?
Okay, Ujjwal, your question is taken. We'll put it to the panelists, but before that, we take a commercial break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We'll go to Sudesh Verma right now and ask him the same question that the caller put. Sudesh, I hope you heard the question.
Yes.
On defense cooperation, would you go ahead and...
see, the whole issue is, yeah, sure. You see, the whole issue is that there was policy paralysis during the UPA regime.
Yes.
And whatever decisions they took, a lot of cases of corruptions came out. But you see, in the last 2 years, we have taken a lot of decisions, but not a single case of corruption. That is why we have been able to talk about defense deal, a strike defense deal, which could have been taken by the UP as well. There's no doubt about that. You know that the crisis situation was there, that we had lack of ammunition as well. That situation has completely changed now. So, but we are not saying that UP did not do so. As Mr. Khan was rightly pointing out, that yes, we will build on the relationship built by our predecessors. Mr. Narendra Modi has never claimed that it is he who is doing. He has given credit to all the prime ministers, all the governments that have come. There was never lack of consensus on foreign policy. It's only recently that Congress spokesperson had started commenting in negative light. But I'm very happy to hear that Mr. Khan is putting things in perspective, and it deserves my congratulations that an opposition party must be responsible. And I'm very happy and glad that Mr. Khan is giving the credit where it is due.
Okay, point taken. I'll go across to Simmi from Ambala. She has to ask a question. Simmi, what question do you have to ask from our panelists?
हेलो हाय आई एम सिमी. मुझे ये पूछना था कि जो अभी मोदी ने यूएस में इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट किया है, अभी उनकी विजिट थी यूएस में, तो ये विजिट के बाद इंडिया और यूएस के रिलेशंस और कौन सी लेवल पे जाएंगे, मतलब और ज़्यादा अच्छे होंगे, और क्या क्या हेल्प यूएस इंडिया को कर सकता है, और जो टेररिस्ट का जो मुद्दा बार बार मोदी उठा रहे हैं उसमें इंडिया को यूएस कितना हेल्प करेगा और कैसे?
Okay, a simple but an important question that would come to the mind of any common man. What is in it? So, Mohammed, you see the observation made by a caller. What do you have to answer to the caller?
Well, actually, I think Sudesh ji would be better qualified to answer this, but if I may take the question on his behalf, I think we've put in an objection to Pakistan's request for F-16s. Because we said that that will not be utilized for the purpose that which they are claiming it will be utilized for. I think that was a good step. I think more needs to be done. I think we emphatically need to oppose the sale of any arms to Pakistan. This is also tied to a question that somebody else asked earlier. There's a very good reason for why there's been a pivot from just engaging with Russia to the United States. There is a great deal of wisdom in that pivot. The reason for that is you cannot be beholden to only one country when it comes to the purchase of your national defense armament. This is a good move. We have to engage with all the superpowers because we are a superpower. We are an emerging superpower ourselves. Insofar as terrorism is concerned, I think Mr. Modi made some very good points about the fact, Prime Minister Modi made some very good points about the fact that we are the first responders to terrorism. Okay. We are surrounded on three sides.
I see a certain bonhomie between the Congress and the BJP today. I see a certain bonhomie between the Congress and the BJP today, which is good. We've got a caller, GK Sharma from Delhi.
There has always been a spirit of
yes, GK Sharma, what question do you have to ask?
Yeah, I have a question. You just mentioned that there is a bonhomie between the BJP and Congress on certain issues regarding the beautiful address by Prime Minister Modi in the US Congress. My question is why the same bonhomie is not being shown in the upper house, and that is Rajya Sabha, regarding an important bill for the country, which is GST, which may help boost the economy take the economy to a different level. And it was initiated by Congress only. So why Congress is playing politics on such an important bill like GST? They should rise above political interests and think of the interest of the country in this regard and help BJP government pass this bill.
Okay, I'll take this comment as your observation rather than a question. We've already debated GST multiple times on this very show. Let us keep the focus on the Prime Minister's US visit. I'll go across to Sudesh. Sudesh, there are certain key issues. Sudesh, you want to come in at this moment? Yes, Sudesh, tell me.
Yeah, I was just trying to fathom what the earlier caller Simi asked actually, Yes. She was right, and she must understand, and your audience must understand and appreciate also that Indo-US relations have now come to a state where irrespective of whichever party is in power in the US, it doesn't matter. We used to say that, Republicans are friendly towards India, Democrats are friendly towards India, what will happen if it changes? Now the situation has come. You have seen in the Congress, all parliamentarians cutting across party lines, they were one with India as a stand. And this speaks volumes about our success in diplomacy, that whichever party comes to power, because Narendra Modi ji is interacting with think tank people, is interacting with all the parties which are campaigning in US elections. So this creates a new equation in Indo-US relations.
We're taking a last caller and we close. Shankar from Maharashtra will come in, ask his question, and then I take final comment. Shankar.
हाँ जी सर मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि जो इस मोदी जी के दौरे से चाइना के ऊपर कितना असर पड़ेगा?
Okay, point taken. I'll go across to Sudesh again to answer this. Sudesh, you answer this question and also give your final closing remarks. What do you think? The caller asked a very simple question. Does India gain more weight against China? A simple but an important question.
Yes. Yeah, of course, you see, China is under a lot of pressure internationally. That why is China trying to block India from getting into NSG? Because you cannot, at international level, you are all linked up economically with each other. So beyond a point, you cannot, come with your belligerence. More so, particularly when India is trying to create a very good China-India axis in economic relations. And China is going to be one of the biggest investors in India. So there is no reason that China should not see its own economic interest in India and long-term relations rather than just stand on a few points here and there. So I'm sure that
Sudesh,
is coming.
Sudesh, make your final comment and I'll go across to Muhammad for his final comments. What will be your final comment for today's debate?
You see, the visit has been very good and you can see that the Congress is positive because they also realize that some positivity has come in foreign relations that is going to raise India's status globally. They also must support, and I must compliment the Congress, and this cooperation should extend to other areas also, as one of your callers had expressed, as for example in the GST in Rajya Sabha.
Okay, point taken. Mohammed, what will be your final comment for the day?
I would only say that the spirit of compromise and conciliation is one that we have always welcomed. We have written about it extensively. Our leaders have written about it extensively in the papers and spoken about it in the electronic media. We ask the BJP to reach out to us. We are not obstructive for the sake of obstructionism. As you know, with GST, we have elaborately laid down what our objections are. Please engage with us. We will explain. And if you don't feel there is merit, then tell us why there is no merit.
Okay.
That is all.
Okay. Thank you both, the spokesperson Sudesh and Mohammed, for joining us. But as we see today, in matters of trade and policy, India so far has lost the bus only on one issue, that on trade and policy, India has not been able to have its trade policy in place with regards to restricting certain imports and allowing the benefit of which many countries have been taking. The latest example is solar panel imports. We will see how the relationship between India and America develops, not only in the area of terrorism, but also on trade and policy. We'll keep track of it for you. Thank you so much for joining us today.